Hello and welcome to this technical training segment. I'm Jeremy Cooper with Sabre Consulting. Today we're going to look at a powerful feature built into Windows Server and Active Directory, where we can use group policy to configure Windows firewall settings across our organization rather than manually touching every machine. So I'm going to move into focus here, a virtual machine running Windows Server, and this is an Active Directory domain controller. And I'm going to demonstrate a tool called PsExec. I imagine many of you have used this before. It is a very powerful tool to manage Windows desktops through the command line. And I'm going to open up an administrative command prompt. And what we have, we'll just put it here, what we have is a Windows server on this IP address, 10.199.101, and a Windows client on 10.199.102. Now, I can't ping it probably because of Windows Firewall, but you can see that we do resolve the host name. So the syntax for PsExec is just psexec.exe, and you can use the tab key to fill that out, and then / Windows client space CMD to get to a remote command prompt. Now, it's not going to work because Windows Firewall by default blocks this, and it is a good reason, because these tools are great for sysadmins, but they can also be used by malicious users if they have more domain privileges than they require. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the Group Policy Management Editor, and we're going to drill down from our forest into our domain, and we're going to look at pre-created group policy objects, and we have one called Windows Firewall. And if I go under the settings and click show all, you'll see what I've done is we have enabled remote service management. And one of the key things I want to point out here is I've only allowed remote service management to be enabled to this IP address, the IP address of our Windows server. In a full-scale enterprise environment, what we recommend at Sabre is that your technicians operate on a separate VLAN from the rest of your network traffic, and you only open up these type of rules for that VLAN. Now let me show you by issuing a right-click and edit just where you would go in to make these changes in group policy. They are under Computer Configuration, Settings, Windows Settings, Security Settings, Windows Firewall with Advanced Security. And it's an inbound rule. So what I actually did is just issued a right-click and new rule. And so for those of you who are familiar here, we'll go back through the process. So it's Windows, no, it's Remote Service Management. So, I missed one previously. This is very similar to what Windows Firewall with Advanced Security looks like if you're doing it directly on the machine. Now, what I do want to show is you can right-click and go under Properties, and this is very much like it looks in Windows 7 and Windows 10. And here is where I set my rule to only work from this one IP address. If I click Add, you'll see that you have the option to do a single host. You can do a predefined range of IP addresses, or you can do an entire subnet. Now what we do from here is the Windows client is currently in an OU called desktop computer, so we need to link that OU to, we need to link that GPO to this OU. So we issue a right click, link existing GPO, and select Windows Firewall. Once that's done, you would normally have to wait anywhere from 90 to 120 minutes before your Windows clients refresh group policy. But since we have a direct connection to this client, we'll just go right here, open up an administrative command prompt, and as you can see, I'm not running as a full-blown administrator. Another great recommendation for managing Windows desktops. So we open up our administrative command prompt, and the command we use to force group policy to update is called gpupdate, and the switch is /force. Now, if you want to get extra fancy, you can add /target:computer and only refresh computer group policy updates. In other words, this is going to be slightly faster. So group policy has completed successfully. Now let's go back into our Windows server, and that very same PsExec command we issued earlier, it will clear the screen, up arrow twice, should happen almost instantaneously, and there we go. So I want you to note that our prompt, or rather the title of our command prompt has changed. It now says / Windows Client and CMD. So for example, if I issue the command hostname, I'll see that I'm on the Windows client. I can, who am I? I can see who I'm logged in as, and I'm logged in with the account that I'm using on the Windows computer. And from here, you can issue commands such as ipconfig. You can start and stop services. There's a host of things you can do from PsExec that makes it a very, very handy tool. All right, well, that wraps up this brief segment. I hope this has been an informative video. I appreciate everyone viewing, and bye for now.